And our next guest. Thank you for waiting. Rick Lovekin.
Nice to be here.
Rick, you're involved in so many different things, and I met Rick at the Wesley's open mic playing the guitar, second and fourth Tuesday of every month. The Cecil.tv crew was there, and we may be even filming original music tomorrow night, Tuesday, second and fourth Tuesday. I hope to see you there.
That would be great. I'd love to hear some original music, yeah.
Yeah. And you've done so much over the years, Rick. You served in Vietnam. You're now helping veterans.
Yes.
And you're involved in this. I'm going to show the camera this presentation at Wilmington College coming up November 14th, correct?
Yes.
What's that all about?
Well, for over 30 years, I have been giving speeches and talks at local high schools and colleges on Vietnam. When I was in Vietnam, I wrote a lot of letters to the News Journal, as over 1,000 other Delawareans did. And a lady named Nancy Lynch was the editor who took care of the letters. After the war ended, the News Journal had almost 1,000 letters and asked her, what should we do with them? She said, I'll take them. So she took them home. She lives in Bethel, Delaware. She put it in her barn, all these letters in a box in the barn, thinking that someday she's going to write a book. Well, starting in about 2006, she started putting a book together, and I often wondered what happened to my letters. And somebody I knew contacted me and said, Rick, there's a lady doing a book on Vietnam, and your letters are in the book.
How about that?
I said, oh my goodness, this is what I've been waiting for since 1970, to see my letters again. Nancy Lynch put a book together with over 1,000 letters, names of everybody who wrote to the News Journal. And I have dozens and dozens of books on Vietnam, pro and con. And I will say, except for Vietnam Mailbag, that's the name of this book,
right.
I have not seen both sides of the war addressed as well as in this book. Most of the books out there today, whoever the author is, even if he tries not to, you still get somewhat of his view of what the subject is.
Right.
So I have books that, say, darn, the Vietnam War should never happen, and I have books that say it's the best thing that happened to communism. So I'm in the middle. I just don't want to argue politics. But this book, Nancy's Vietnam Mailbag, has all different views. Guys writing to Vietnam. The letters were never censored. Well, Wilmington College found out about the book. I'm a speaker with Delaware Humanities Forum on Vietnam. And the Wilmington College, Wilmington University now, said they'd like to honor Vietnam veterans. So they set a date of November 14th, and we hope to get hundreds of Vietnam veterans there. We want to get the word out that Wilmington University wants to honor and pay tribute to Vietnam veterans that really didn't get treated too well when we came home.
No, I remember those times, and it was very problematic, and there was a lot of divisiveness, and as you said, back and forth. But this book shows both sides of the story as it happened then, through letters like yours. Now, what did you do in Vietnam?
I was a helicopter mechanic, door gunner / crew chief. If you see the helicopters that carry troops in, they'd land to let the troops off. I would be on the machine gun, shooting at the enemy, keeping the enemy heads down while the guys get off and get to a safe position.
Right.
I had a hard landing. For anybody who flies, they know that's a crash, but it's a very minor crash.
Right.
After I had that hard landing, I said, I'm not flying anymore, which was voluntary. And my commander said, get your pack, you're going out in the field with these guys. I said, sir, I'll fly. I didn't want to go to the jungle.
You had seen what's going on from the helicopter and decided, maybe go back up in the bird again.
Yeah, right? I didn't mind flying, yeah.
So a lot of guys didn't have that option. And a lot of guys came back really kind of a mess from Vietnam. You help them today in your current volunteer position, correct?
Yes, yeah. I always knew that I had issues. I never dealt with them until the year 2000. My 19-year-old niece died of a drug overdose on Valentine's Day. My brother went off the deep end. We tried to help him. As a matter of fact, on a Friday night, he was up at the top of the Delaware Memorial Bridge. The police took him over to Delaware Psychiatric Hospital, and gosh darn it, he talked his way out. And 2 days later, he hung himself in my sister's house.
And he was a vet too.
No, he was not. He was 14 years younger than me, but he was my only brother out of the sister. But that pushed me over the edge.
Right.
And I was lucky enough to have friends that were at the VA hospital. My wife made a call. They took me to the VA hospital. I've been getting help for PTSD ever since. But
PTSD.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Okay.
Which means, you know, something happened years ago. When I speak to schools, I ask the kids in schools, anybody been in a car accident? Somebody will raise their hand. And I'll say, well, how did you feel? Remember how you felt the day before the accident and the day after? That's the post part, after the accident.
Right, sure.
And, you know, that's what we did, only we saw the stuff day in and day out. It wasn't just one car accident. It was equivalent to car accidents, if not every day, every week or so. And that builds up inside you. Right. And since I retired, I've been volunteering at the VA hospital, and I reach out to guys. I give my cards out to anybody I see who's a veteran with my home number. Please call me if you're not getting a fair deal at the VA hospital. If the government's not treating you correctly, and we know the paperwork is atrocious. And I've been doing the paperwork for 7 years, so I know what to say and how to fill it out. And that's, you know, I don't know how many guys we've helped, but
you help them get benefits and housing and sort through their problems?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, and you know, we get counseling for them, and if they need medical help, we take care of that. If somebody calls us and they're out of home for one reason or another, they had to leave home, within 24 hours, us and the VA can get him or her. I have to say her because, you know, there's many, many more women now who have been over in battle than in Vietnam.
Sure.
So, you know, we just do whatever we can to help anybody, any veteran.
Well, I'm glad with all the stuff you do, you find a little bit of time to come out and play the guitar.
Oh, I'd be really over the edge if I couldn't play the guitar.
And you know what? I'm thinking you ought, when you go to this event, you ought to bring a lot of your cards because you may make some connections with some vets that really could benefit from what you're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes, sir.
Again, November 14th, Wilmington University.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. Rick will be there, and the author, Nancy Lynch, will be there.
Yes,
cool.
Talking about her
book. The
book.
journalist, all right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on Cecil.tv.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Glad to do it.
And thank you for serving.
Thank you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk. Yes.